Hey everyone, welcome back to the second session of Purpose versus Perception. Guess who we have here with us today? Let's go in and find out.
Hello everybody, welcome to another session of Purpose versus Perception. Today we have along with us an eminent personality from the field of education, Ms. Dayal. Ma'am Sarah is an educational consultant. She has been associated with many reputed institutions in the UAE and has a treasure of knowledge to share on inclusive education. Ma'am has also won an award in the World Education Council in Mumbai in the year 2018.
Good afternoon everyone. Hi, Mrs. Sarah. Hello. It's nice to have you here in our school today. And
Thank you.
knowing you for a long time and understanding the expertise that you have with you. We would like you to share your thoughts on gifted and talented students.
Sure, I'll try my best.
So I'm going to ask you my first question, and I'm sure you have a lot of things to tell about it. Well, today around the world, people are talking about gifted and talented students. And it's become a very important topic. So we would like to know if it's a new concept that has come into the field of education, or was it there and people were not able to have the identification tools, and can you just give us some thoughts on gifted and talented students?
Look, if you look at it, when education started, and I'm talking, we can call it the Gurukul system, we can call it whatever system, but initially, earlier, children were meant to go to school, learn, come back. Everybody, it was presumed, or the perception was, that everybody learned the same way. But I think once, just as the science has progressed in every field, once researchers found out, and what they actually looked at is, what's his name, Daniel Goleman. Yes, different intelligences. And then I think people began to understand that it's not everybody, every child doesn't learn the same way. Every child has a learning pattern. Some run faster, some run slower. So I would say that this term, gifted and talented, is relatively new in comparison to the ancient times, because the concept wasn't there at that time. Children were only meant to be seen, not heard at that time. But now it has changed.
Ma'am, that was really a wonderful insight that you have given us. We have another question for you. Ma'am, how do we identify the gifted and talented students in the school?
Absolutely. We need to know the difference between what is a gifted student and who is a talented student. Generally, the difference is that gifted students are those who have excelled in academic pursuits, maths, English, history, geography, etc. The talented students are those who have an aptitude for the arts, for music, for PE, for drama. So that's where the difference lies. So once we know that, because very often what happens is we look at grades. Unfortunately, our exam system is such, right from our Indian system to the Western system, we're all looking at grades. So we tend to notice just the grades of the student, and we say, oh, this is a gifted student because he's got an A or he's got 90%. And yes, it is a yardstick. I'm not saying no to that. But that is not the only yardstick to recognize a gifted and talented student. So, for example, if there is a talented student in music, he may not follow what the teacher is teaching because he knows a little more. He is going beyond the class. So, in order to come back to your question, to recognize gifted and talented students, one benchmark, of course, is the grades. But you also have to look at the performance and the approach to studies. They say that a gifted student knows the answers. A bright student will know the answer, but a gifted student will ask questions. So you need to know the approach to studies, and here we need teachers to be aware and notice, while the grades may be poor, but the approach is slightly different, then you can recognize and of course look at the grades as well. So in order to recognize, coming back to answer your question, watch, observe and see what their learning path is. That will tell us if they are gifted or talented, or they could be gifted and talented as well.
Oh wow, that's a really
That's
great
great
insight.
Yes. It's going to help our teachers and parents.
Absolutely.
That was indeed a wonderful answer given by you. Yes, it's going to help our teachers to identify the gifted and the bright students. But I have a question, Ms Dayal, for you. How do you engage and empower the gifted students and the talented students so that the energies are being channelized in the right way?
Engaging and empowering the gifted and talented students.
Yes.
Very important for feelings. If the feeling is not positive, it's not going to happen. So, however bright a child might be, however talented a student might be, however gifted a student might be, if they don't feel that they belong, if they are not encouraged, if they are not accepted, it won't happen. So, of course, the technical term for it would be the zone of proximal development. So, as long as the ZOD is there, where the gifted student is being reinforced and challenged a little bit, the talented student is also being reinforced and challenged. The minute the child feels, I can do 70%, but it is this 30% that I cannot figure out, or I have to challenge myself, that is where we can really promote or encourage them to learn or to perform better. That's how I feel. And I think many teachers do that.
Yeah, they do
in
that.
their
Well, I
classes.
think teachers have to continue with the good work that they've been doing, and they should be consistent in identifying the talented and the gifted students. Because that way it will enable the students to channelize their energy in the right way, and they should also participate in a lot of competitions. Because once
Yes.
they've been given the chance over here, the in-house activity, engaging them into all kinds of activities over here, that will help them to excel.
It's a preparation from school.
Yes.
True, I mean, the competition is what gives you the edge, isn't it? So these students who are gifted and talented need that challenge, and then just the classroom teaching is not enough for them.
Yes.
They get bored. These are the ones who are bored easily, who will
Yes.
say, I'm not interested in the lesson, I know more. But they are not aware of that. But so when they are then channelized into a competition or something in which they can take part in, that's when also the team spirit will build up. Then they start working on that.
People say that, and I've read somewhere that the gifted students are sometimes arrogant. Not that they would be, very good in all subjects. They may not be good in maths, but they might be good in science. Tell me if that is the truth. Are gifted students very arrogant? Is that, as far as behavior is concerned, can you just give us some kind of understanding of that?
This is a tough question to answer. Your question is, would a gifted student be arrogant? It depends. Again, your purpose versus perception. Often, the teacher perceives that gifted child as arrogant. Why? Because he's raising his hand even before the teacher has said what the topic is.
Yes.
Or the girl says, yes, miss, I know this. So the teacher begins to feel that this child is arrogant. Now, that's not the case. It's just a case of perception. That person is a 9-year-old child or a 10-year-old child and doesn't know the difference, or may know the meaning of angry, but may not know the meaning of arrogant. So how is that perceived? Having said that, as the students grow older and they are, let's say, sitting in a I don't know, chemistry class, and the teacher is teaching some concept, but this child already knows it. There is a chance that the child will be bored in the class, and signs of arrogance might show there at a higher level because the child is already bored. And so it's like, oh, the same old stuff. So I know it, I read about it, I read this journal and that journal, and the teacher must be probably teaching the basics because the teacher has to cater to the lowest denominator, isn't it?
Yes.
So they can be arrogant, but that also depends on how they are molded and how they are guided. Sometimes the teacher can also start depending a lot on the gifted students and say, all right, Abdul, tell me, yeah, very good. So then the confidence develops, and then there's a thin line between switching over from being overconfident to becoming arrogant. We just have to curb it.
Yes. But do you think that the gifted students can be put as mentors in the class so that they could take care of the students who require additional help in learning?
I am sure, because again, we're looking at personalities. What I would suggest here is that the gifted students need to be coached and counseled as to, okay, so you're going to be mentors, you're going to be leading them, but that doesn't mean you know all the answers. They need to be coached in how to mentor, where the other student doesn't feel less in any way. So definitely that they can be used, and it's really good when it comes to differentiation to use the abilities of these students for the rest of the students in the class. Why not?
Really great guidelines, because I guess by mentoring also you'll be nurturing the leadership qualities in those students.
Absolutely.
That's really wonderful. Ma'am, how would you differentiate between a bright student and a gifted student?
Yes, a bright student and a gifted student. To put it in two watertight compartments, the bright student knows all the answers, is taking part in the class discussions. The gifted students is asking the questions. That is the major difference between a bright student and a gifted child. While the creativity of the bright student is there, he will retain all the information, she will be able to give all the facts and figures. It is the gifted child who will know beyond. So again, if I can repeat myself, the bright student knows the answers, the gifted student asks the questions. The bright student is on top of the class. The gifted student is beyond the top of the class. So that is where, so it's like they're both on top, but that would be the major difference.
Okay. Yes. So could that be a child who, with giftedness, may be able to score a little lesser than the bright student?
That is a possibility.
Okay.
In fact, in one of my teaching careers, this happened to one of my IB students. Very brilliant, gifted, brilliant topics, studies, theories, not a problem. He could analyze them, he could, relate it to real life, but then he would just divert from the main point and then lost out on marks. So yes, that is a possibility. That would be a possibility.
About the teachers, how to identify the gifted and talented. But today we are talking about the role of parents, which is very important. Can you just give us some tips on how parents can be a part of the school and helping the school and guiding the gifted students? And what is their role at home? How do they be a part of it and support the gifted students so that they can excel?
You're right. I mean, the parents' role can never be undermined in any way. It's very critical as far as child development is concerned. In fact, not just parenting, right from the child, when the child is in utero, that is, the development has already begun, and no one can deny the parents' role. It's very important. What I feel is, in today's age where there's too much competition going on, everybody, and I understand this is how society is nowadays. This is how, we've got social media, we've got development, we've got so much research on so many things. Every parent wants their child to be the best, to be on top of things. If they can't play badminton, they should play cricket. If they can't play cricket, then they should go play, to have some musical ability or excel in maths, which is wonderful. It is great. But I think the most important thing that a parent can do is accept your child as your child is, because that creates the environment for growth, for the zone of proximal development, for encouragement, for challenges. That is the first step. Accept the child. Don't compare. Very often they keep comparing, and especially parents of gifted and talented students, because all said and done, each one of us lives our lives through our children again. Whatever the parents couldn't do, they want the child to do. Wonderful, great, but accept the child for what he or she is. Once you've accepted that, and you notice that the child is gifted and talented, create that zone where you give positive reinforcement, not just positive reinforcement, challenge the child. Create that challenge. Encourage that child. Whatever the child is doing, support that child. And again, be role models. We cannot keep criticizing the child and say, don't argue and fight in school. Because this is what the child is saying at home.
Yes.
So, and so then when the teacher writes a report saying he is or she is forever criticizing the classmate, and then you get upset and say, why is he doing that? You have to be a role model. So, even if you're not gifted or talented, but if you show the right values and ethics of hard work, putting your best, supporting your child, honesty, transparency, all that should help. Have I missed out anything? I can't remember.
I think you
I
got all
think,
the points.
yes.
Really good points. I think we have benefited a
Yes,
lot by
yes.
discussing with Mrs. Dayal on the gifted and bright students. And I'm sure it's going to be very helpful. Just not for you and I, but people who are actually going to see the video, the parents and students and teachers. So thank you, Mrs. Dayal, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And we
Thank you so
enjoyed
much.
talking to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
We just had yet another session of purpose versus perception. It was indeed very informative and an interactive session. Hope you all benefit from it. Do check in for the future videos. Until then, this is Arima signing off.